The world believed Lena was gone. Some reports claimed she had been killed in the attack. Others suggested she had been taken. A few whispered she never existed at all, just a phantom tied to a scandal too large to fully explain. Adrian refused to believe any of it. 6 months after the ambush, he stood on the rooftop of a modest building overlooking the city. Below him stretched a sea of lights, indifferent and endless. "You're still out there," he murmured into the wind. He didn't know if she could hear him, but he spoke anyway, because hope was the only weapon he had left. Far across the city, inside an abandoned communications tower scheduled for demolition, a lone figure watched a small handheld receiver flicker. Lena, thinner, harder, changed. She had cut contact with everyone, including Adrian, to draw the organization away from him. Alone, she could move unseen. Connected, she was vulnerable. She replayed his message again, her expression unreadable. Then she powered off the device. Survival required silence. Attachment required risk. She chose survival. For now. For months, Lena studied the organization from the shadows. She tracked their supply chains, safe houses, encrypted communications. Every night she moved, never sleeping in the same place twice. Tonight, she infiltrated a warehouse near the docks. Inside were rows of crates marked with false shipping labels. Weapons, surveillance equipment, portable servers. Proof. She photographed everything with a miniature camera embedded in her glove. Footsteps echoed. She slipped into darkness just as 2 armed guards entered. "Shipment leaves at dawn," one said. "Good. Once Oracle is active, we won't need these anymore." Lena's heart pounded. Active? They were closer than she thought. Her foot brushed loose metal. It clattered loudly across the floor. Both guards turned. "Who's there?" Lena moved instantly, silent, precise, vanishing into the maze of crates. One guard pursued, weapon raised. He never saw her drop from above. In seconds, both men lay unconscious. She stared at them, breathing hard. She hated violence, but she hated helplessness more. Adrian had not been idle. Using the last of his connections, he followed financial trails tied to the conspiracy. Shell companies, hidden assets, anonymous funding. Everything pointed to one location, a remote research complex built decades ago, before his corporation even existed. He drove there alone. Snow covered the surrounding mountains, muting the world into eerie silence. The facility appeared abandoned, its concrete structures cracked and weathered. Inside, however, machines hummed softly. Someone had returned. Adrian moved carefully through dim corridors until he reached a central chamber. In the center stood a massive cylindrical device, glowing faintly blue. Oracle. Before he could examine it further, lights snapped on. Armed figures stepped from the shadows. "Well done, Mr. Cole," said a calm voice. "You led us straight to our missing variable." Adrian's blood ran cold. They had never been looking for Lena alone. They had been waiting for him too. Lena intercepted a transmission hours later. Adrian's capture was not accidental. It was bait. A public execution disguised as an accident, designed to draw out Asset L-17. Her hands trembled as she listened. He had sacrificed everything to protect her, and now he was going to die because of her. She stared at her reflection in a broken mirror. Not the frightened child from years ago, not the trash-collecting girl, but something forged by loss and survival. "I'm done running," she whispered. She packed her gear methodically. Tonight, she would face them directly, not as prey, as a hunter. Snow fell silently as Lena approached the mountain facility. Security drones patrolled the perimeter. Floodlights scanned the terrain. She timed her movements perfectly, slipping through blind spots like a shadow. Inside, she moved with terrifying efficiency, disabling cameras, bypassing locks, avoiding patrols. At last, she reached the central chamber. Adrian was restrained near the Oracle device, bruised but conscious. When he saw her, shock flooded his face. "You shouldn't be here." She gave a faint, sad smile. "You said I survived harder things." Before he could respond, alarms blared. Armed forces poured into the room. The leader stepped forward calmly. "Welcome, Lena. We've been waiting." The antagonist smiled faintly. "Your parents built Oracle to predict disasters. We perfected it to prevent them. By controlling everything," Lena said coldly. "By ensuring humanity never destroys itself." He gestured to the machine. "With your genetic key, we can activate it fully." Wars ended. Crime predicted. Chaos eliminated. Adrian stared in horror. "That's not protection. That's tyranny. The man shrugged. Order always feels like tyranny to those who prefer freedom. He stepped aside. Your choice, Lena. Help us or watch him die. Silence filled the chamber. Snow drifted through broken skylights like falling ash. Lena looked at Adrian, then at the machine, then at the people who had taken everything from her. Finally, she stepped forward. Not toward them, toward Oracle. Her hand hovered over the activation panel. Her parents' faces flashed in her memory. Not scientists, not victims, just two people who had loved her. She placed her hand down. The machine roared to life. Alarm screamed. Energy surged. What did you do? The antagonist shouted. Lena turned, calm at last. I didn't activate it, she said softly. I erased it. The light intensified, not powering up, but collapsing inward. Oracle was destroying itself. The future would belong to no one. Weeks later, spring returned to the city. In a quiet park, Lena sat on a bench watching children play. No hood, no fear, just sunlight on her face. Adrian sat beside her, not speaking, simply present. What happens now, he asked. She considered the question. For the first time, I don't know. He smiled gently. That's a good thing. She watched a small child chase pigeons, laughing freely. Once, she had believed survival was enough. Now she understood something deeper. Living required more courage than running. The trash-collecting girl who had collided with the CEO was no longer a ghost, a weapon, or a key. She was just Lena, and for the first time in her life, that was enough.